There we go. Sorry about that delay. I had to find the right button to press. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vasel. Today is July 14th, 2025. And I feel like a couple things, we're in the middle of the year. Half of the year has gone by. Dice Tower East is finished. It was fantastic and fabulous. We had a great time. And thank you to everybody who came. So that was fantastic. We are 2 weeks away from leaving for Gen Con. And then after Gen Con, there's lots of other things coming on over the course of the year. So definitely the year kind of spirals. I feel at this point that I have been completely moved here to Fort Myers. So that's nice. Our houses are possibly being sold. So that's good if that happens. And yeah, all kinds of things. This is a normal week of sorts. We don't have a ton of normal weeks here at the Dice Tower. We are getting prepped for Gen Con, et cetera, but there's a lot of other things that we have to do and normal shows coming up. So we hope you join us for that. Glad to be here. Let's jump into some questions. Megan says our oldest member is about to turn 80 of her group and is mad keen on games. She has asked for a good solo game to keep her occupied between meets. Ugh. I'm not necessarily the best person to ask about solo games, and honestly, you have to give me more information. Does she want to go through some sort of giant adventure or just play a puzzle game over and over? Because Sprawopolis, for me, is a fun puzzle game to play in my downtime. But if I'm playing a solo game, I also might play through one of the gigantic, Awakened Realms games. So it all depends what she wants to do. How was my weekend? My weekend was good. I went to Sanibel Beach. Have not been there before. It's a famous beach here in Fort Myers, known for collecting shells. My son and daughter got a lot of shells, but they would have got more had we gone earlier. And we didn't go earlier because we stayed up late the night before watching Superman. So we got there, and I would like to go earlier and get more. It was a very nice beach, though, and a nice area. But the best part for us, the highlight, was we stopped at a little restaurant called Cheeseburger, which was maybe the best burger I've ever had. It was really fantastic, a really neat restaurant. So it was a good weekend overall. Thank you. Oh, Dan already has any good meals this weekend? I already answered your question. Have you received a copy of Vantage yet? No, Myers did not send us one. So, yeah, I guess we'll get it at some point, but we have not got it to review yet. Sorry. Any truth to the rumor that the Dice Tower was asked to leave Homestead by a local town government? Tired of answering the question, where is the Dice Tower headquarters? Very unlikely. How many games do you think you will roughly pick up at Gen Con? I don't know. We normally get a lot of games that are being released at Gen Con before Gen Con. So, we've already reviewed some. We'll be reviewing a few more this week and a few more next week. Preparation for Gen Con, but not too many. These 2 weeks till Gen Con are going to be 2 very long weeks. Maybe, but they go pretty quickly. Is the Dice Tower done with Marvel Champions? No. In fact, Z has a review of one of the things going up this week. I believe it's Silk, if I'm correct. Did you hear about the Marvel Champions Civil War expansion? I did not. I don't really keep up with that. Not a question, says Mark, but today is my birthday. Woohoo! Woohoo, and happy birthday to you. Thoughts on the Spiel winners from yesterday? Well, we'll talk more about that in the news segment this upcoming Thursday, but I thought they were fine picks. Yeah, it's cool. It's neat. Will we be selling promos at our Gen Con booth? We will have promos at our booth available for donation to the Dice Tower. I don't know if BGG will have a booth there or not. So how did I like Superman? I liked it a lot. I really enjoy. I'm a big fan of cheerful, upbeat, positive. I'm a hero Superman. I'm not trying to get into some Zack Snyder versus everyone else debate, but I just never really liked his Superman. He was dour and grim, and that's just not who Superman is to me. We have enough dour and grimness. Batman controls that part of the of the DC universe. That's what makes him and Superman a good duo to work together. But I really liked it a lot. I liked the Superman. I thought Lois Lane was spot on, and the relationship between Superman and Lois Lane were very well done. I thought Lex Luthor was my favorite character. I thought he portrayed a frustrated, narcissistic man who's just jealous of Superman and doesn't think it's fair, and then will use everything in his power to defeat Superman. And he's very smart. And I like that portrayal a lot. That was my favorite part of the movie. My least favorite part of the movie was the portrayal of Superman's parents. They did a good job in one scene, but the rest of the time they just seemed doofy. Like too doofy. They don't need to be like the wisest people ever known to adopt Superman, but I just felt like they were a little too, I don't know. They just came across as not very smart. But other than that, I enjoyed it. Probably too much crypto, but the crowd loves a dog. What is the biggest letdown in your opinion in recent memory? This is a top 10 list that I will be doing soon, so we'll talk about that then. I don't want to spoil it. Do you think you'll do your hero list for Multiverse United? My organization spreadsheet included your grades. Yeah, I'm still working on that. I started working on it. I have all the stats inputted into a computer spreadsheet. The problem I've run into is that we moved. So then all that stuff got paused. So it's coming, but I'm going to need some free time to work on it. I played Terraforming Mars for the first time in 6 years. What's your favorite game that you haven't played in over 5+ years? I don't know. I'd have to go do some stat searching for that. So I apologize. I don't know off the top of my head. Marvel Champions Civil War is a change of pace with a PvP option on the side. I'm usually not a fan when games switch. Like a cooperative game now can be competitive. A competitive game can be cooperative. Sometimes it works, but I usually am not a fan of that. For the last 2 years, says Josh Franklin, who already knows the answer to this question, you had the pizza party at Gen Con. This year, you switched to individual lunches. Was there any reason for the change? The change is simply that last year after Gen Con, we were exhausted. People got sick, and we just were doing too much at Gen Con, and so we need to pull back and calm down a little bit. And so that was my reasoning for that. We just didn't have any free nights, and so the pizza party was super fun, but it wasn't a free night for us. I just got Twilight Imperium 4th edition during Amazon Prime Day. Should we try to find someone who knows how to play or get a group of all new players? Either, I think, will work fine. I wouldn't get a bunch of people who know how to play and a bunch of new people. I would get one person who can teach everybody and is a kind and gentle person, or just play with all new people. Around this time last year, you came to Level Up Games in Georgia. Are you coming this year? No, for the same reason I just mentioned. We've been really, really running ragged, and so we want to take a break. We're still going to drive up to Gen Con. We're not stopping at Level Up Games. It was very wonderful, but we want to take a couple days where we're not, quote-unquote, on, because that's what happens. We go to Level Up, we play games, and we went to Gen Con, and we just want a day where we can just kind of chill. That's all. Good morning, Tom. Who do we email to check the wait list for Dice Tower Retreat? You do not email anybody to check the wait list for Dice Tower Retreat. If you want to come to Dice Tower Retreat, you can email me at tom@dicetower.com. But I want to be clear, you probably won't come. It's full. There's no open spots. And because of that, here's my thoughts on this are, I already run Dice Tower East, Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower West, and you have the chance to come and play at all of those. Those are all open. So to come to Dice Tower Retreat is trickier, because it's much smaller. But I don't feel like you're losing out because you can go to these other ones and have a great time. So the people I picked to come to Dice Tower Retreat are people I know. You want to come to Dice Tower Retreat? Come up and talk to me at other cons that you come to. If you never come to any of my other cons, you're not coming to Dice Tower Retreat. I want it to be people that I know, that I invite and can come. But even then, like I said, it's already full. So we have some ideas and things in the works that we might be able to change in the future with this, but for right now, that's where it's at. Have we ever heard about the Kitsunito card game? Maybe. They did a new Cyclades and now Inish. Do you think they'll do another Kemet? I think they announced that, didn't they? It's two different companies, by the way. Cyclades and Kemet are owned by two different companies. How's the weather in Homestead? I have not a clue. I only know what the weather's like in Fort Myers. And I'll tell you what it's like right now. It is gorgeous, with the small exception of there's more mosquitoes than I thought. Right now, between two of my fingers, I got a mosquito bite. That's kind of on me. Will I review Star Wars Battle of Hoth before the release date? I would like to, but I do not know yet when the embargo on that lifts. What's your favorite racetrack in Heat? I haven't played enough of them to have a favorite. I played only, I think, the ones that come in the base box, so those would be my favorites. What's the best road trip game that you can play in the car? I don't really do that anymore. I might do some fun trivia games. I have that one. What was it? I have a game that I have in the car that basically is, forget the name of it, but you play against kind of AI to pick the correct answer in a group. I thought that was interesting. If anyone has any specific questions about the retreat, you can email me about those. I don't want to keep talking about that here and that. Did I already catch up on questions? Let me go back through and see if I've missed some questions. Do I think more games will start including magnets on player boards like Gnome Hollow? You know, I thought more would do it. I haven't seen it happen yet. I know it's probably pricey to figure out how to do it, and it's going to be more pricey than not doing it. So I think we'll see it in a few games, but not too many. Maybe we'll see it in some Kickstarter games as upgrade. The embargo on Battle of Hoth releases as soon as the shield generators are down. Do you have any suggestions for a first-time Gen Con attendee? I'm thinking about doing a list like that for that next week as we get ready for Gen Con. But, I mean, some basic things. And bringing my spouse and 3 kids, whew, that's a lot to bring kids to Gen Con. Just realize that it's like taking your kids to a really, really, really crowded mall. Now, if you set up things ahead of time and you have like different events that they can play in and prepare for, but just going through and looking at everything, I think your kids will get tired pretty quickly. I took a couple of my teenagers to Gen Con at various points, and they got a little exhausted. That was just from, and I gave them pretty strong freedoms. Make sure you have good shoes is the main thing. What's a really hard first play teach? There are so many games that are hard to teach. I think we did a list on that one time. Like there's like simple games like Mamma Mia, which is a tricky game to teach because you almost have to see it to understand how it plays. But I think some of the games that are hard to teach, I work at them and have them down to a rhythm. Like I think Race for the Galaxy is a hard teach, but I think I have it now. I've taught it enough times that I think I can get people into the game by teaching it. Are we going to go through the Gen Con preview list? Yes, but that would be next week before the convention. Besides Hot Streak, favorite game played at Dice Tower East. My favorite game played at Dice Tower East, I had a game of Cosmic Encounter that was just a joy to play and had some wonderful time. So do you think physical media like Blu-ray is going away? I don't think it is, right? I mean, you can barely buy it anymore. My kids don't even really understand the concept of physical media, with the exception of physical video games. And even that's because that's a me thing, because they have multiple switches and it's easier for them to pass the game back and forth than for me to buy it. And it just, sometimes it's just kind of a pain in the neck. But music to them, I don't think my kids have ever bought music. They listen to it on Spotify or YouTube. For movies, it's like what's available on streaming. If we really want to buy it, we buy it on Amazon Prime or something like that. And it's just, that's just kind of the future. We can bemoan this and cry about it all we want. And yes, I know there's a movement to bring back LPs, but I feel like that's more a fad thing than anything else. Physical media is kind of disappearing. Any truth to the rumor that you move locations to hide from intergalactic bounty hunters looking for the chief? Well, first of all, I pity the fool who thinks they can hunt down the chief. I don't even know why any bounty hunters would be hunting him down. He's fairly widely known amongst different circles, and it's been tried, and it's not gone well for anyone who has tried. Also, I mean, for us to move 2.5 hours in the same state, in the same country, in the same planet, in the same universe, in the same time zone, in the same defractionalized, in the same fracapa. That's a very tiny move if you think about it. We could have done many other things. Now, you could argue, I suppose, that the simplicity would fool people, but also I'm not really much of a threat ever since I've retired. Have I played Nemesis? I think you mean Nemesis Retaliation. I've not. When you come to Indy, is there a place that you're excited to go back to eat at? Sure. Each year we eat at St. Elmo's, and it's one of my favorite restaurants in the world. Other than, and also Shapiro's Deli. I really like eating there. Do you like the Nintendo Switch 2? As of right now, I do not have the Nintendo Switch 2, so no, I don't know anything about it. I haven't really looked at it because I didn't want to get the kids all caught up in it. The Nintendo Switch 2 costs more than both the Xbox and PS5 here, but that's how it always works, right? It's also newer, and everything that's newer is Wii, there's that sort of thing. I recently, a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, was on the PS5, and I thought, you know what? I'll play a little bit of Skyrim. And I really haven't stopped since. Skyrim, once you get back into it, it's amazing that a game that is 14 years old, or almost 14 years old, still manages to sucker you in, and there's just so much, and I wander around, and I'm still finding things I've never found before. Are there more games like Invincible the Bag Builder? Fun co-op bag builder? That are exactly like it. There are other bag builders like Orleans and things like that, but a cooperative bag builder? Maybe someone in the comments can think of one, but I don't know of one off the top of my head. I'm going back to St. Elmo's for a second time, says Daniel. Absolutely worth it. Well, it is very pricey for sure. But it's one of those places that when you eat there, you're like, wow, this is deserved. That's kind of a thing nowadays. I've realized that pricing has gone up everywhere, right? You kind of forget about it for a while. You're like, why am I paying so much for everything? And that's just how inflation works, right? But sometimes you go out to eat somewhere and you're like, this is phenomenal. Sometimes you go, it's very good. It depends. There's a few phenomenal places that I've been to, and St. Elmo's is one of those. Why do people keep asking me about Nemesis Retaliation? I've not played it. So I cannot answer that. Let's go back to talking about restaurants. St. Elmo's isn't the only good restaurant. Like I said, Shapiro's is a good restaurant. It's a nice little deli there. There's a Greek restaurant that's right next to Shapiro's. I forget the name of it. I really enjoy that place too. If you're willing, and you should be willing, take an Uber and just go 5-10 minutes outside of the main area in Indianapolis. There are a lot of good places to eat and hang out. So, there's not a lot more to say about that. All right, come on, folks. Give me some more questions. Let me see. I don't think I played any board games this weekend, other than my son was playing a solo new wristband video game. I played some on Friday. I played the new Nature game from North Star. It's kind of a re-implementation of Evolution. We'll be reviewing that next week. I will be playing some games tonight and tomorrow, likely. And then it's a fun cooperative deck builder, but I think the chaos of pulling cubes, whatever tempo works well. I would not recommend those two as the same. I think they're very different. I like Invincible way more than Aeon's End, so that. Are there any defunct conventions that you miss? I think I would have to kind of figure out what are the defunct conventions, because I think every convention that I've gone to is still around. What's a good example of a defunct convention? I mean, I guess obviously conventions have stopped and things like that. That's just the very nature of things. But I don't know that any I've gone to are that way. Where can we find out more information about the upcoming Dice Tower Essential games or ones that recently released? Those are mentioned on the channel. I will make a full video for each one as they're announced / released. So I'm trying to make a bigger deal about them as they come out. So after Wormspan and Finspan, what would you like to see as the next span? I feel like he said there is nothing else coming. I feel like he said that. I feel like he said it was a trilogy. And I'm talking about Jamie Stegmaier, the owner of Stonemaier Games. I feel like that's what he said. So there's Wingspan, Wormspan, and Finspan. Now, if he makes another game in this line, I would love to see a new insect game. But I don't know that that's happening. I will say I did enjoy... not enjoy, but he just announced an expansion for Wormspan, so that's kind of cool. Any reviews of Toy Battle in the pipeline? Toy Battle will come out this week. The review of that, I believe, Sunday. Would we ever consider reviewing the newer Ticket to Ride digital game app? That might happen at some point. We don't review a ton of apps, but we could. Will Dice Tower West eventually be held at a place big enough to play East's larger games? Life-size Pandemic, Foot Kart, etc. I don't know what that means. I don't have a... Oh, you mean the larger games? Well, I mean, that sort of thing could happen at Dice Tower West now. We have the space to do that now. We have an event room that we could have these games. It's just that the folks who ran the Life-size Pandemic are from Florida, so that's where they were. If someone wants to run life-size things like that at Dice Tower West, and I know it's happened because I know there's been big Lord of the Rings events that have happened there in the past. There's definitely enough space at Dice Tower West for these things. In the Overpower review, you mentioned you wouldn't get into it without having played it before or knowing someone that has. Well, that's not a question. Am I missing the first part of that question? I mean... Well, I would try it, I think, but I think I would be very lost. It would have taken me a long time to parse those rules. I think there's a lot going on in the game. Back when I learned it in 95, or 96, or 95, 96, when I played it, it was pretty easy to play. I remember playing it. It was just power cards and some special cards. And I remember the first time, I really remember parts of that game where someone went to a store and bought some single cards, which blew my mind. I was like, you can buy just cards? And they bought an 11 energy attack from Human Torch, and I thought, that is amazing. That's overpowered. And so then I went to that same store. I'll never forget that experience where I went to the store, looked through all their singles, came back, and my roommate said, are you smoking? And I was like, no, I'm not smoking. And I realized my clothes smelled like smoke because this was like a little game store that was in the back. And in the back room, they played RPGs and war games and smoked like all get out. So I'd go in there as fast as I could, look through the Overpower stuff and go. But I couldn't imagine people paying $2 for a single card. Well, I could imagine that because people did it for baseball cards. But so we got into that and just really, we just played normal Overpower. We didn't even play with the Ventures. We just knocked each other out. And at some point, I finally figured out the rules for Venture. And then I started running tournaments. We just played all the time. Overpower was such a really entertainingly fun game for us. And then we diversified. We played Star Wars from Decipher. We played Battletech. People mess with other games. There was Star Trek and other games that came out, but it was mostly Overpower was the one that caught all of our attention. I'm not even sure why, other than I think it was just because it was the first one to hit it. I remember how I bought it the first time. I went to a baseball card show. So kids, back in the day, there were not kiosks all up and down throughout the mall. It was just empty in the middle. So what they would do is on weekends, there would be shows up and down of various people selling stuff, and there would be baseball card shows. That's where I would go all the time to go look at baseball cards. And I was walking up, and I saw the decks for Overpower, and I know I had read a games magazine review of Magic, and I was fascinated by the idea. I wasn't fascinated by the theme Magic, but Marvel, I was very much. So I bought 3 of the decks, I think, and then I found the 4th deck at Walmart, and we played those. I went across the hallway, taught it to one of my friends. Another friend watched it and said, "That's kind of a stupid game." And that friend who said it was stupid went out and bought more, and then people started buying booster packs and new characters, and it kind of blew over, and we just kind of snowballed from there. So we learned it all together over time. I remember going home over Christmas break from college, and I had a temp job where I worked at a business where I was supposed to answer the phone if it rang. It rang like 4 times a day. But I just sat in there, and I could play on the computer Minesweeper, which, after a while it gets boring. So I sat there and wrote out a whole notebook of all the Overpower card types. AA is an attack, and then you get an attack of level 4, then you get to make an additional attack. AB is this, so on. And I started a website on Geocities back in the day, so we all learned about it together. All that cumulative knowledge is in my head to some degree, and I still was like, okay, this is how Overpower works, right? So I think that to jump into that now is trickier. And the people who are really big into Overpower, if you go look at the Overpower Facebook groups and such, are people who really know the game, right? It's more of a nostalgia thing than anything else. There's not a lot of new people jumping in the game. And you can get new people into these games. You handheld them, hold them, and walk them through. I just don't think it's enough to make this anything more than a niche game. We'll see. And that's all to a question that wasn't a question. All right, where am I at? I play 10 epic zombies and love how the meeples hold weapons. Would you do a top 10 on unique meeple games or pieces in games? That might happen someday. I like that. Who's my favorite racer to play in Mario Kart? I always play Donkey Kong. I like him. Sometimes I play Bowser, and then I'll play Waluigi or Wario. I don't know why I like playing the quote-unquote bad guys. I think it's mostly just to mess with my son. But Donkey Kong, I've always liked him because I like knocking the other racers around a bit. But I'll play anybody. I don't really care. Is there any mechanism in the past that should or will make a comeback? Well, I don't know. These things come in spurts and growths, so I don't know what's going to come, or I don't have any idea of what will come. I just get tired of there being so much of the same thing. For a while we're getting tired of rolling rights. Well, that definitely has died down. Now it's trick-taking card shedding. This too shall pass. There will be something new. Are there any specific games at Gen Con you're excited to check out? Well, I don't normally check out games at Gen Con. I go around and talk to people, bring the games back. But probably the new Stonemaier game is one I would love to try out. Vantage. I'm very interested in it. When is a new Board Game Arena Dice Tower content coming? We're doing one of those a month, so you'll see another one at some point in July. Would there be an IP that you would love to see adapted like RoboCop or something? People ask this question all the time, and the answer is don't care. I do not care about IPs. I think they're fun. Don't get me wrong. If you pick an IP of something I'm interested in, of course I'm interested in playing the game. But I'm happy with games that don't have intellectual properties also. What recommendations do you have for purging games from a collection? How do you decide? Do you try to restrict the Dice Tower collection to a certain size? Well, I restricted essentially. It was, for a while, the Dice Tower collection was restricted by space. In the Dice Tower studio, we had space for 28 shelves. I now have space for probably 35 shelves. But I think 28 is a good number. I haven't seen any data to prove me wrong on that. When I'm at the Dice Tower East and it's the busiest time and I go to the library, there's holes throughout the library, and there's still tons of games there that people can check out. There's just tons of games. So that part's easy. So I'm currently restricting it to 28 shelves. It's not a hard thing to do. One game in, one game out. I can always find a game that nobody's playing. There were 800 games at Dice Tower East that nobody played. Those games may or may not be on the chopping block. By the way, lots of people tell me, I check a game out and in. That doesn't, I can see that info. How do I decide? I just pick. So remember, picking games from the library and a personal collection is very different. In a personal collection, I just pick games I'm not going to play again, probably. There's only so many games you can play for the rest of your life. So when I had a personal collection, this was before Dice Tower, I had brought it down to 350. Kind of an arbitrary number, but basically my thought was, that's almost one game per day a year. And so if I play a game every day, are these the games that I would consider playing? Even though some games might last longer, some less, etc. So there's a lot of different factors that go into it. For the Dice Tower library, it's very different. I'm picking games I think people will play. My likes and dislikes, I guess I shouldn't say my likes don't have a play, because they do. My dislikes don't have a play. If I hate a game, like really hate a game, I'll still put it in the library if I think people will play it and enjoy it. If I like a game and not a lot of other people will play it, I still might put it in the library because I'm at these conventions and I might check it out and play it. And that's usually a game that I have to love. I don't know anything about Thunder, folks. Sorry. What is the most times you played one game in a day? I haven't a clue. Just say 10 or something. But I don't know. Maybe. They have giant campaign games. Do you want to see a big epic Pokemon campaign game? No. Was anyone asking for that? Maybe. Hello, 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 sir. This is an unusual time for Q&A, but very much welcome change. Well, I have always done them. I shouldn't say always, but I almost always do them at 9 a.m. on Monday mornings. So maybe compared to other people doing Q's and A's. Can I show up to free Gen Con games or events to see if I can get in a day of? Any other tips to get in on random games? I think you can. I think if you walk around, well, first of all, they have an open gaming area. But I think you can walk around or go to different events, and if people don't show up, especially if they're free, people will often not show up to an event. So take a couple generic tickets and go over, and you can get in. How many games did you get into at Dice Tower East this year? Not a ton. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. My goal at Dice Tower East is to be the host, is to make sure everyone else is having a good time. Each morning, other than the flea market morning, I play 2 or 3 games. And then throughout the day, I played various games. I played Hot Streak like 6 times. I played Nidavellir. I played Space Base. I played Race for the Galaxy. I played Cosmic Encounter. Didn't play much more than that, though. I'd say on a particular day, I might play 3 or 4 games. The goal for me there, again, like I said, is not to play games. It's to let you have a great time playing games. Will I be back in the upcoming Arc Nova 3D edition? I'll have to see what it looks like. What's my favorite version of Love Letter? I always am amused by the Batman Love Letter, but the Marvel one is probably the best just because of the way it plays. I don't know anything about the Arkham Horror one. Does the Chief ever come to Dice Tower East or West events? He will come. He will have had come. It's hard to explain. He's been to one, but you haven't been to that one yet. I collected Star Trek cards from Decipher, but almost never played it. It was an obtuse game. I thought Star Wars was a tricky game. Star Trek was even more obtuse. They were really pushing theme, and I got to give them credit in both games. Like Star Wars, the Decipher game, has more theme in it than probably the current Star Wars Unlimited. Although Star Wars Unlimited, amazing game, one of my favorite games. But the problem was it had so much theme at the detriment of gameplay. So you would build a deck, a light side or a dark side deck, and you would play against each other. And they made a lot of errors in this game. First of all, they made the good cards were rare or ultra rare, so have fun getting them. So that's not, so you have a deck full of characters no one has ever heard of. I mean, they eventually tried to fix this, but it was kind of late. If you wanted the good characters, you had to pay out the nose to get them. At the very first set, Darth Vader was and Obi-Wan Kenobi were very valuable cards. They were the only people who were powerful enough to use. I mean, they were just super powerful. As time went by, people learned how to use the system and stuff. But you made these decks, and you would fight each other, and you'd be playing locations, and you could play ground locations and space locations, and you would control these locations and then, basically deplete your opponent of force and getting rid of cards from their deck, which, by the way, is a great way to do it. There was some really good things in this game where you had destiny numbers on the cards, so when you, instead of rolling dice to decide things, you'd flip a card from your deck, and the destiny number at the top would determine what would happen. So you might want to put some weak cards in your deck that just had higher destiny numbers for that purpose. And the most powerful cards usually had a destiny number of 1. So that was neat. But you could build a deck. I could make a Hoth deck where had snow speeders defending the shield generators, etc. And then the dark side builds a deck that's all about TIE fighters controlling spots in space. And technically it worked together, but we're really not going back and forth. So if you build a light side deck about blowing up the Death Star, you would actually have to play the Death Star, which helps the Empire out a bit, so that you could then blow it up. And so the best way for the game to work would be like, hey, today we're going to play Dagobah. You make a Dagobah deck, I'll make a Dagobah deck. We're going to play Tatooine or whatever. That would seem to be the best way for it to work. But like I said, that and the problems with finding rare cards. I remember just being frustrated when I would play the game because I would go buy 1 or 2 packs, which was all I could afford. Then opening those packs and just being frustrated that none of the cards were worth anything. I didn't need any of them, and it was kind of a waste. But still loved it. It was Star Wars, and it did a lot of cool things. They remade the game. They lost the license to the game. I remember that because I think I had just bought a big collection of it online. And then that just like a couple weeks later, they lost the license, which immediately devalued all those cards I'd bought. Is what it is. They remade it a few years later where it was just called Wars. It was the same game, but with a lot of changes. But when you take the Star Wars out of that game and it's just a generic sci-fi universe, obviously people weren't interested in it at all. I have 2 oversized foil stamped Overpower promos from Mail-In Wizard Magazine thing. Ironically, I've never played the game. Available was sparse in rural Canada. Sure. And I remember one of those cards shows Spider-Man in a wizard outfit where it lets you pull any cards you want from the discard pile. Why is Orlando so much better than LA and Las Vegas? Disney World, SeaWorld, Universal Orlando, life-size Pan Am. Well, I think people would argue with you there. There's a lot of great things about Dice Tower West. We will not say Dice Tower East is better than West. West has a bigger library. There are cool things. The Grand Canyon is close to Dice Tower West. There's a lot of neat things that are out there. They're both cool cities, which is why we have our conventions in them. Are you aware there's a remaster of the Final Fantasy Tactics coming out? Yes. Am I excited? I don't know, because I haven't really found enough information on it to see what exactly they're remastering. I think they're adding the War of the Lion stuff, but like, what exactly is changing? Because the iPad edition is fantastic, and I don't know that I need more than that. We'll see. I mean, if they add a bunch of new content, I'm on board. Have I tried Lazzo's? I think it's Lazzo's or Iazzo's. I don't know how to pronounce that. Italian and Indy, I have not had that. I never saw Overpower here, but probably a good thing in the end. Didn't earn a lot in the mid-90s. Yeah, well, yes, preaching to the choir. The amount of money that I spent on collectible card games as a college student, I would sit there and go, I could do my laundry in 2 loads rather than 3 and save 75 cents or whatever. Not good times there. Thought on Adventures of Neverland being canceled. You received backlash, and you were right all along about that company. So let me see if I have... let me pull this up here real quickly. So Adventures in Neverland was a Kickstarter, and I remember specifically this came out, and I dumped on Adventures in Neverland because their original, the games from that company, I thought were pretty bad. And then, sorry, let me see. Let me pull this up here. I made another video because somebody, some people talked to me about it. I don't remember who emailed me. Maybe it was the designer and said, hey, give it a chance. And there was a lot of pushback. And so I went and looked at it. I was like, you know what? It does actually look pretty good. And so I was concerned that I was accidentally hurting the campaign for no good reason, right? I'm not trying to hurt a campaign. And so I don't often do that, but sometimes, but I had hated every other game from this company. So now that the company has folded and is going out of business, do I feel vindicated? No, because it has nothing to do with what happened there, right? I was talking about the quality of the game. I was like, this is probably not a very good game because the rest of this company's games haven't been very good games. This game could still be a very good game. That's what I went back and said later. The fact that the company isn't making it and didn't do it is not a good look for them, and shame on them for not publishing it, but that has nothing to do with whether the game is good or not. So I'm not sitting around like, I was right. No, I don't think I was right still. I think I was erroneous in my initial reactions to it, and I think that my second reaction, where I was very interested in playing it, was correct, but that doesn't matter now that it won't happen. So it's an unfortunate situation, and I feel bad, particularly for the designer, but hopefully someone else will pick it up and publish it at some point. Have I heard anything solid about the new Feast for Odin expansion or standalone? I've not. Have you finished Clank Legacy 2? Will there be a full review? I think what you've seen of it is what you're going to see of it for now. Did you have a cool MIDI song on your Geocities webpage? No. Back then, I really disliked when I went to someone else's page and a song played, so I didn't do it on mine, I think. An under construction image? No, because I wanted to have my thing done. I don't remember what... I think my website was called The Bedlam Brothers with Blink's Links. This was around the time the Age of Apocalypse had came out, which I thought was an amazing series. And so Blink's Links was links to other Overpower websites, which was... It took me a lot of work to find these. You have to remember this was before Google. You couldn't just search for things. You had to use Yahoo was the main search engine. You had to get listed on Yahoo. So link pages were a big deal, especially link rings at the bottom where you would have a thing at the bottom of the page and we're part of this ring. And you just click next and it would take you to another page in that ring, except for the jerks who didn't put it at the bottom of their page and just had stuff sent to them. So I wanted to make a link. I like the idea of sending people to the best Overpower pages. Have I ever played Redemption? I played it once or twice. I don't know much about it. The nicest board game store I've been to in the world? I don't know off the top of my head. I've been to some really good ones. Level Up near Atlanta is definitely one of the best I've ever been to. But I've been to a lot of really good stores. I have not played Marvel Dice Draw Missions. We did not get a copy of that here, so I didn't have a chance to go through and play it. My wife and I have favorite strategies when we play Caverna, but we haven't found any specific strategies for Le Havre yet. Do you have any Le Havre strategies that you're willing to share? I don't really have any strategies. I just try to see what's available to buy, and then I buy it, and I try to build up a strategy. I'll pick something. I'll be like, this time I'm going to get some cattle, slaughter cattle, and eat meat and do that. Or it also depends on the buildings that come up out of the extra pile, out of the special buildings, that I'll kind of see what comes up and just play that way. Am I excited to see the new Stranger Things trailer dropping tomorrow? I guess. Their break has been so long. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. I don't remember what happened in the last one. Is Phase 10 in the library? It is not. Do you know of any abstract game that has a solo variant or made for solo? Well, not off the top of my head, but most of them you can find computer opponents and play. Like chess, there's tons of variants to play chess against the computer. Any update on Dice Tower being at PAX Unplugged this year? Not as of now. I had some ideas of trying to save some money and get some people to PAX Unplugged, but it has not worked out. I can tell you this now, folks, that I will not be there. I would like to go, but it is very close to my daughter's wedding. And I checked, and she said her wedding was more important than PAX Unplugged. So that is where I will be. It's sending other people. Well, unfortunately, we did not meet the stretch goal. We did meet the stretch goal, but then we lost so much money on our campaign from tariffs and more to lose. It's going to be a little brutal, right? When we've ordered all the stuff, you know, the play mats and bags, and when that comes in, it's going to beat us up a bit. So we've made a lot less money from that than we had hoped to. So I don't know if I'll be able to send people to PAX Unplugged or not. What's the balance between asking the kids to play your games versus when they want you to play the games they want? Is it similar to renting at Blockbuster in the olden times? I don't know. Each person has to decide that for themselves. I usually do once or twice a week. I'll be like, hey, we're going to try this game out. We're going to play this game, and the kids play with me. Other than that, you just have to see what happens. I'm laughing at this question here, and it wasn't for someone trying to create a game. Mostly because of the last line. I grew up watching Dice Tower. This makes me feel older when people say that. That and the creaks and aches in my joints don't help me feel younger. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to yawn. Trying to create a game, you don't have to. Only create a game if you want to create a game. Create one and see what happens. I can't really give you more wisdom other than that. It might not work. You might be terrible at it. You might be great. Make a game if you enjoy making it. A couple years ago, Beat the 8 Ball was hot after Dice Tower East. It was actually the retreat, I think, that made it hot. Is it still in the library? It's still in the library. Or did the hype die? Yes, the hype died. I think people might play it. Actually, I have the list of what got played right here in front of me. Yep, it got played 7 times at Dice Tower East. Well, that's pretty good. That's the same amount of times that Path of Civilization got played, so I guess it's not. It's still a little bit of hype there. What do you think of the new Master of Orion board game on Kickstarter? We played it live. Did they remake the one that we played live a while ago? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that. Did you ever play the Decipher Lord of the Rings CCG? No, I looked at it. This one looks to be the most complex of all of them. Why wasn't there a review for Star Trek Captain's Chair? Well, we're not saying there's not going to be a review for it. We have many, many games that we have that are not reviewed. Specifically, 400 plus. That is a lot of games. They're not all going to get reviewed. We will do our best to get them played. There's no reason that things don't get reviewed sometimes. Just we only have so much time. Are you going to review the 2 newest Summoner Wars expansions? If I get them, I'll review them. Thanks, Tom, for doing live chat. I know it's probably not easy finding the time to do this often for you. Well, I do like doing this every other week, just to communicate with you all and talk to you all and just talk a little bit about Dice Tower. It's not that hard. Did my parents ever stop me from playing a game due to it being demonic? I was told I couldn't play Magic the Gathering when I was in junior high because of that. I was not allowed to play various things that my parents said I could not play. I'm not going to hold any of that against them. They did what they thought was best, as I do with my kids. You know, we all have different things, and I'm never going to mock other people's parenting. You know, oh, I wasn't allowed to do that. You know what? I wasn't allowed to do different things. Life went on. Everything went out well. I love my parents. They did a great job. If you had the opportunity to launch a bad board game into the Grand Canyon, I would not do it. The Grand Canyon is a wonderful vista. I would not throw a board game into it. Boo. Have you ever had Portillo's Italian beef sandwich? They have 4 locations around Indy, and they have eclair cake. Portillo's is in Indy, huh? Because I know they're in Orlando. And I know this because we go there every time we have Dice Tower East at Dice Tower East. I went there twice. And yes, I've had their Italian beef sandwich. And yes, it's amazing. Portillo's is a chain, and it's obviously not as good as the ones from Philly. But it's pretty good. I'm very happy with Portillo's. I think it's amazing. Now that I know there's one in Indy, that's good information to have. Some of the big changes for the new Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered: Tactical View, Fast Forward for faster battles, and Autosave. Those are all very useful things, but is there more content? That's kind of where I'm at there. Is I Am Done still getting played in your family? Not with me, but it might be. It's still on the shelf for sure. The best memory when I came to Brazil Fair, Diversio Offline, I really enjoyed. I think my favorite thing was when I got to speak to all the content creators there. And then we were interrupted by a parade going by. That was fun. Have you read Immortal Hulk? I've read a little bit of it, I think. Given all the evolution in card games have set decks or allowed to select specific cards from decks, would you ever do a video on good things from TCG, LCG, and non-trading card games? That's an interesting video to do. Whew. I would certainly take some flack for some of my opinions on it, but that would be interesting. I know you're a Marvel guy, says Stephen Ball, but did you get a chance to see Superman? Yes, I already mentioned it earlier, but I'll tell you this. I think the Superman movie was better than like the last 5 Marvel movies. It's really on par. Now, granted, I don't know what the last 5 Marvel movies are, so maybe there's one in there that I thought was better. But I'm just saying it felt fresh and interesting. I'm definitely more interested in the updated DC universe. That being said, I'm really pumped about Fantastic Four. Please don't be bad, Fantastic Four. Come on, this is your chance. I love Fantastic Four. Did the Merchant's Cove issue pull the curtain back on how tight it is to get board games made and delivered? It's always been tight for that. People don't necessarily understand how expensive it is to do this. Do you think that CMON will have a lesser of a presence at Gen Con with everything going on with them recently? CMON has not had a presence at Gen Con for a couple years. If you've seen their stuff there, it's usually as part of the Asmodee booth, which is, if Asmodee decides to show their stuff off, so be it. I'm older than Tom, and I grew up watching the Dice Tower. Oh, that's very nice, Beef. Thanks for the super chat. I'll buy a beef sandwich in honor of that. That's very nice of you. Are there any games releasing at Gen Con you're interested in? We will go over that next week. We'll talk about it, and that way we can kind of give you a mix of, hey, we're interested in this, we haven't seen it, and we're interested in this, but it hasn't come out yet. Or we've already played it, things like that. Hitting the table makes a booming in the mic. I know that. So we've done a couple things to help with that. We put a thing under there. I don't want to use the shock mount arms because they are too gigantic. They really get in the way. So we'll work on making it. Also try not to hit the table as much to help with that. What big campaign games are you currently playing? Well, Iridia. I just have to... Iridia had a major pause in it for our move, but since the move is pretty much over now, we will be getting Iridia back out and trying it again. Have you ever been to games and stuff in Maryland? I think a better question is, have you been to Maryland? Yeah, a couple times, but they were when I was a child. Not a question, but thank you for all what you do. This year for tariffs are stressful for the entire industry. It's been tough as a customer to stay positive, but you guys have. Well, a couple things on that. I don't ever want to pretend that things are better than they are necessarily. Like, oh, tariffs came and we'll be fine. But at the same time, I'm not going to feed into the doom and gloom. Yes, bad things are going to happen. Yes, companies are going to go out of business. It's not going to be great across the board. But I think it will be fine at the end of the day. And we're not going to sit here and doom and gloom about it all the time. We rather talk about the more interesting things we can do and play. As a parent and a participant, what are your thoughts on water parks and amusement theme parks? I think they're way too expensive. For sure. My kids went to, when I was in Orlando, I didn't have time, so my kids went to Fun Spot, which is like just a small little amusement park there. And I was like, we'll save money. We'll go there. We did not save money. It was expensive. Water parks are fun. You get more of a bang for your buck at a water park because unless you're someone who has to go on water slides all the time, you can always be doing something. Aquatica is my favorite water park in the world. It's the water park for SeaWorld, and you can get in that river, the River Rapids, Roa River Rapids, and I can just sit in that for 3 hours straight. You can go to wave pool for 3 hours straight, and I'm fine. Okay, I'll rephrase. If the National Park Service wanted to do a collab with the Dice Tower, and they were going to have someone pick up the pieces afterwards, which bad board game would you launch? I don't know. It seems like a lot of work. You're just asking me, like, what's my least favorite game in the world? Just ask that. I don't know what it is. Probably Phase 10. Congratulations on your daughter getting married. Which one's getting married? That would be Amy. She's my second oldest daughter. Does her husband love board games? He does not. He thinks they're fine, at best. But he doesn't dislike them. He's okay. He likes video games, though. Is there $50 worth of game in Hot Streak? We don't normally answer these questions because that's up to you. Is there $50 worth of game in any game? Sometimes games seem overpriced or underpriced, but the fact of the matter is, if you play a game 20 times, isn't it worth it? Is there, when you eat a burger, do you sit there and if the burger costs $5, when you are 20% done, do you go, that's $1? Sometimes a burger costs $10, so when you take a bite, you go, that's $1. It depends. I have done that before. That's why I say that. And it can make your meal less enjoyable. It can make an experience less enjoyable. You have to decide if the money is worth it for you. A channel said that it would be great content to get one of those collector's Lord of the Rings Stratego tables and destroy it. Someone did that. Would you find it entertaining? I don't think so. I've destroyed games in the past, but they've always been very inexpensive things. Like the one time I burned a bunch of games on the grill, I went to a local thrift store and found broken down games and did that. And I've destroyed games that I thought were terrible and I didn't want people to play. Very, very few times have I done that. I don't know. It seems wasteful to me. I wouldn't do that. That's like the very epitome of the, hey, look at me type thing. Don't get me wrong. We do some weird stuff here to get people to look at us for sure. I would not burn a $3,000 table. I've not read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I've not read a lot of different comics lately. Mostly because my iPad just broke. Like broke. And so I was like, I guess I have to get a new iPad because I use my iPad all the time. And then I'm like, the new iPads might come out in October, so I'm debating now. Can I go 3 months? October, what is it, July? Can I go that long without an iPad? It's tough because I used it for so many things. But number one, not number one, but one of the things I use a lot for is comic reading. So if I don't have an iPad, I'm not reading comics. Will we do a top 10 things Mike is wrong about? Well, maybe at some point. We will see. Shotgun ceiling mount is what I'm looking to in my studio upgrade. Sure, you could use a shotgun mic, but shotgun mics come with their own problems and disadvantages too. You'll never get the same quality. Yeah, you can hang them. There's nothing you can do that will be perfect. We are working and trying to do our best. That's all I can say. Is Hot Streak the new Ready, Set, Bet? I think they're different in many ways. They're also similar, too. I'm not going to pretend they're not similar. But I played both at Dice Tower East. So I don't know. Oh, yeah, DoorDash I ran over with a car. But that was a cash grab. It was, not a very good game. The movie Big basically predicted comics being read on my iPad. Yeah, maybe. What's my most played gaming app currently? Well, probably Civilization. Civilization's an easy... I mean, I play it all the time. I was just about to nuke India again. When I say India, don't worry. I don't care about India. I care about Gandhi. I'm going to take that man out. I whooped up on Canada. India was next. Anyway, so it'll be months before I get to do that, I suppose. Alrighty. Well, you know what? Looks like it's 10 o'clock. So that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, for coming into another live Q&A. We have more things coming out this week. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to see coming from the Dice Tower this week. Let me find our schedule. This will give you some updated stuff here. So, no more live stuff today, but you will see tomorrow. We'll play it live. We're going to be playing Above and Below Haunted, the new Above and Below. We're going to be reviewing some games, the expansion of War Whispers, Twinkle Twinkle, Ofrenda, Trailblazer, Arizona, Emberleaf, Menefer, Please Don't Burn Down My Village, Roth, 2001 Space Odyssey, Sears Catalog, Infiltrators, Marvel Champions, Silk and Black Panther, and Toy Battle. I'll be taking a look at our shelf. I'll be doing 40 games in a certain amount of minutes. We'll be doing live crowd surfing, and we will be doing what's happening tomorrow, and a boring unboxing, and just much stuff coming your way. More than what I just said. Thank you, everybody, again, for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games. We do top 10s. We play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.